From Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a speech prepared, Mr. President. I just want to share a few thoughts with my colleagues. And what I'm about to say, I intend to say gently and constructively. And that is this: we need to do more. We need to do more. By we, I mean the United States Congress. We have completed almost 25% of the time allotted to this current Congress. And what have we done? Other than nominations, which are important, and I will come back to that, we have done nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Let me talk about my friends in the House of Representatives first. I have great respect for them. I wish I had served in the House. I would have loved to have had that experience. So far, our friends in the House, at least the leadership, have done two things. Number one, they have passed bills that they know have not a hope in Hades of passing the United States Senate. We call those bills messaging bills, as you know, Mr. President. They're not designed for the next generation. They're designed for the next election. They don't do anything to make the American people any more secure or improve the quality of their life, and we all know that. The second thing that my friends in the House leadership have done, and I say this with all the respect I can muster, is to harass the president. Again, I say this gently, and I say this hopefully constructively to my friends in the House leadership. The House leadership needs to urinate or get off the pot. The House leadership needs to indict the President of the United States, impeach him, and let us hold a trial. He won't be convicted. Or they need to go ahead and hold in contempt every single member of the Trump administration so we can move those issues into our court system and get back to doing the people's business. Now, if they decide to go to the court route, Mr. President, I would caution my friends to be very, very careful. Because once it enters the court system, it becomes a zero-sum game. One or two things are going to happen. Either the administration will win, in which case the oversight authority of the United States Congress will be undermined, or the House leadership will win, in which case no American with a brain above a single-cell organism is going to want to run for President of the United States. Because they can find out, Congress will be able to find out everything about your life, even the most intimate details, whether it is relevant to your job or not, and whether it happened when you're president or not. What I hope happens, Mr. President, is that my friends in the House leadership and the administration sit down and talk, not talk like 8-year-olds in the back of a minivan fighting, but talk constructively about how their behavior could impact important institutions in this country and work it out. And I want to thank the Attorney General for making overtures to the House leadership to try to find some common ground. Now let me talk about the Senate. We need to do more, Mr. President. I'm not saying we haven't done anything. We have confirmed some very important nominees to the Trump administration, long overdue, fine men and women. We have confirmed some very fine men and women to the federal judiciary. And they, I believe, will make this country safer. And they will make this country better. And I'm very proud of that effort. So let me say it again. I'm not saying we've done nothing. I'm saying we need to do more. There are issues where our Democratic friends and my Republican friends have more in common than we don't. We need to bring the bills to the floor of the United States Senate. Everyone has their own list, and everyone in the Senate knows what I'm talking about, whether they'll say it or not. What's one of the things that moms and dads, when they lie down at night and can't sleep, worry about? The cost of prescription drugs. There's bipartisan support for prescription drug reform. I just read a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. They studied the United States healthcare delivery system and the healthcare delivery systems of all other wealthy countries, so it's apples to apples. We pay in America about $1,500 for every man, woman, and child every year for pharmaceutical drugs. The average rich country, other countries, pay $750. I'm not criticizing our pharmaceutical drug companies. What they do is marvelous. We live longer. They save money. They keep us out of the hospital. But how come everybody else is paying $750 and our people are paying $1,500? There are things we can do that will help make the pharmaceutical industry better, but also help consumers. And you know what we're doing on that? Nothing. We need to bring a bill to the floor. I could give you another example. We all know there needs to be reform, Mr. President, of our National Emergency Act. We know that. It's not about President Trump. It's about institutions and checks and balances and Madisonian separation of powers. We could do something together to get rid of spam robocalls. I get about 12 a day. Rob Portman has a great bill that will end government shutdowns. We have more in common on that than we don't. Supplemental disaster bill. We've got Americans who are hurting. My state, after Katrina, we were flat on our back. If it hadn't been for the American taxpayer, we never would have risen to our knees, much less to our feet. Now, we've got other Americans and friends in Puerto Rico that need help. We ought to be able to work it out. I could keep going, Mr. President. Everybody has their own list. Now, I don't care whether we move a bill through committee or whether we bring a bill directly to the floor of the Senate. I'm in labor, not management. That's above my pay grade. But we need to try. We need to try. Now, I understand that it is an election cycle. I get that. I'm a politician, Mr. President. You know that. But we're always in an election cycle. When are we not in an election cycle? And I understand some of my colleagues with a lot more experience than I do. And I listen carefully to them, and I try to learn from them. Are thinking right now, Kennedy, that's just not the way it's done here. Well, by God, maybe it's not, but maybe it should be. And I know some of my friends are thinking, Kennedy, if we do that, we're taking too big of a political risk. Maybe we are. Maybe we'll win. I just think that they're bills that'll make the American people able to live better lives, Mr. President. And we ought to spend a little more time thinking about the next generation than the next election. With that, Mr. President, I suggest the absence of a quorum.